So, welcome to the Real Rich Bees, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. Um, Really, this is going to be a continuation of last week's live, because what we were talking about last week is that your problem, right? That's what we talked about. We talked about, is that your problem? Well, if we have now discussed the things that are not your problem, or the things that you may not, need to be responsible for, right? That begs the question of, well, what is your problem? Basically, not just your problem, but for you to man up and to handle your part, right? You saw the notification. I told you to man up. That's right. I'm telling you to man up. You know what I'm saying? Woo. Woo. Man up. Handle your part. What's that look like? Right? Because what I know, and again, you know me, I can only talk about what I know. I can't talk about what I don't know. I can talk about what I know. And what I know is a lot of us are tired because we were carrying stuff that wasn't ours, right? But if we're figuring out now what is ours, we have to figure out, or not figure out, cycle through those, okay? What are the things that are your part? What are the things that are your responsibility, right? Ding, 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 ding. We got the word responsibility. Let's figure out what that means first, okay? Because you know how we do. We go to the dictionary, right? Because we want to make sure we level set what this word is. So let's go to the dictionary, right? Dictionary.com. Here we come. Let's go. Now we have the dictionary, right? And the word that we're talking about here today is responsibility, right? What is it? Responsibility. The state or fact of being responsible. I always thought you're not supposed to define a word using the word, but here we are. Answerable, right? Accountable for something within one's power, control, or management, right? That's what we're seeing, right? A particular burden of obligation upon one who is responsible. Upon one that is responsible, right? Okay, and we're skipping some definitions, right? Because it's just using the word again, right? A person, place, or thing. Okay, whatever. The main point here, right, is responsibility or dependability, especially in meeting debts or payments. That's your responsibility, right? That's my responsibility. And that's why I said, man up, take care of responsibilities, right? Handle your part. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about you and I handling our part, right? So we're going to figure out, well, what is our part? I try to make this as fast as possible. I try to make this as painless as possible. However, there are some things that's my part. If we're working together, there are some things that is your part. Okay? Now, with that being said, when we talked about that's not your problem, we said things that weren't your problem were things like other people's emotions, right? Other people's attitudes, other people's decisions, other people's choices, stuff like that. So let's get it down. Let's talk about, well, what is ours then? If those things aren't for us to change, right? If those things aren't for us to fix, then what are the things that we're supposed to change? What are the things that we're supposed to fix? What are the things that we're supposed to handle? Here we go. Thing number one. your mind, right? Handle your mind or handle my mind. You can't handle my mind. I can't handle your mind. However, you need to handle your own and I need to handle my own, right? So my mind, my attitude, my choices, right, are all up to me. I need to handle those, right? I can't go around like in my head thinking that everybody's against me, right? Because if there's no evidence that shows that that's the case, then my mind is playing tricks on me. And I need to handle that, right? It's not on somebody else to handle, that's on me to handle. I need to pay attention to what's going on in my mind and address it. Sometimes that's hard. Why? Because it's hard to look at the frame from being inside the picture, right? Like right now, you are looking at me through a frame, right? There's a frame around me, and it's hard for me to look at what's going on my face. So if you see something on my face, on my shoulders, right? Boom, 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 in my hair, right? I can't handle that. It's hard to handle it. I'll say that. Right? It's hard to handle it. Why is it hard to handle it? Because I can't see my face. There's only one way I can see my face. Right? There's multiple, but it still is one, which is having somebody else, right, tell me, or me looking in something that's going to reflect back what my face looks like. All right. Now, the reason why I chose the ones that I said, which is my mind, my attitude, my choices, right? The reason why I said those is because those are things that are hard for you to see. Okay, hold on. The choices you can see, right? But it's hard to see your own mind. It's hard to see your own attitude. Once you are, let's call it emotionally aware, right? Or self-aware, then maybe you can see what's going on in your own mind. Maybe you can see, how your attitude is not so great, right? Maybe you can see that, right? Your choices are easier to see because they're outside of you, right? You make the choice and then you can see the effects of said choice, right? But it's hard to see your own mind, like how your mind is not really showing what's going on in it, right? You have to judge that one through how you're thinking, right? Through your own thought processes. But if that is already challenging, it can make it hard for you to really even be able to judge your own mind and whether what you're saying or thinking, or excuse me, not saying, but thinking is logical, okay? That is hard for people to do. But it's still your part, right? It's still your part, which means that you need to find a way to look in a mirror, right? A mirror in your mind, if you will, right? Same thing with your attitude, right? If you start talking and every time that you're talking to people, people like lean back, right? They're like, right? They had a tight face, right? They start squishing their eyebrows together and things like that. That might look at, be talking about your attitude. They might be feeling away, right? Because of your delivery, because of your tone, because of your words, right? Those things are still things that are your part that you need to handle. Those are things that you need to figure out and find out how to affect change in your own self, right? The reason why we did that's not your problem first is because you needed to know first that none of those things are your problem. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it, okay? Go back and watch it. It was just it's the video before this one, okay? What I'll try to do is I'll try to link that one at the end, okay? Meaning when this is over, you should be able to click the button and go there. If you're watching on the red play button, okay? If you're watching on the purple app, then know that you just have to go below, okay? Because it's down there, okay? Now, here's the thing though. After you find out what's not yours, if you're still having issues, then everything else will be yours, right? Simple as that. Simple as that. Those things are your responsibility that you have to figure out, that you have to deal with, that you have to affect change in, that you have to heal possibly. Because some of the things and some of the reasons why we act how we act is because of the environment in which we grew up in. If we grew up in an environment that was very, let's say, hard. Okay, now when I say hard, I'm talking about like you were held accountable. It was very demanding. It was, you were being criticized all the time, right? You were being pushed in unfair and in an overly forceful way. If that was the type of environment in which you grew up, then you may be really overbearing, right, towards others. You may have your standards a little too high, right? Not that is where people can't reach them in all cases. Some cases, it may be too high for that person to reach. However, the standards that you're setting is still your responsibility. It's on you to handle that, because you can think again in your mind that this standard is not too much, but then when you really look at it, it may be unreasonable, right? It may be unreasonable. So if we think through this, the things that I would say right off the rip are your responsibility is, like I said, your mind, your emotions, your attitude, your choices, your effort, right? Your words, your follow through, your own personal healing, and the standards, right? These are all things I just said, but I'm compiling them into one list. Those are all things that are your responsibility. It's not on anybody else to set standards for you. It's not on anybody else to heal you, right? It's not on anybody else to put in the effort for you. You know what I'm saying? Here you go. In business, right? In business, if you have ran businesses all year, you get down to the end of the year, right? What are you supposed to do in the first quarter if you own a business? You can put it in the chat. You can put it down in the comments. You know what it is. Everybody does. If you own even if you don't own a business, you know what happens at the beginning, first quarter of the next year. You got to file taxes. Everybody does. If you're in the United States, taxes have to be filed, right? If you have an S corp, it needs to be filed by the 15th of March. Not April, March. This year it was March 16th. But it's still March time frame, right? It's still within the first quarter of the year. That's on you. Just if you own the business there, it's not on anybody else to go do it for you, right? It's your responsibility. Now, if you are paying, let's say, a CPA or a tax preparer or something like that to handle that for you, then wonderful. You've delegated. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But it is on you to follow up, right? By that date. Did you get a chance to, you know what I mean? You need to start, make sure the task is there, make sure they have the resources to finish the task. Those things are under your control, right? Those things are under your control. They're not on anybody else. If you have a team of people, still, it's on you to make sure that you're moving the business forward by making sure that people are tasked appropriately and that deadlines are known so the team can hit the goal, right? It's on you. Here's the thing. In that, some things are not your responsibility, right? Some things aren't. In a lot of relationships, which is why we did the last episode, the last live, they just are not your responsibility. It's not for you to do. It's not for you to figure out. It's not for you to even fool with, right? Again, I told you, we said in the last one, you can support somebody through it, but it's not on you to be responsible for it, okay? So what is some of that? What are some of the things we said? We said people's reactions, right? We said other people's discipline, whether they're going to get the job done, right? It's not on you whether other people are going to be honest with you. It's not on you if other people are going to choose you. It's not yours. Don't take on that responsibility. And that's a huge one, because I feel like a lot of people are hoping that other people choose them, right? Have I dealt with that? Probably, more than likely. You know what I mean? If I'm being transparent and honest, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I've had to deal with that, right? Because everybody does, especially as a kid, right? As a child. Back on the playground, you're trying to get in the basketball game, right? You're trying to get on the double dutch rope, you know. You're trying to play, you know, patty cake, right? You're trying to do ring around the rosies, whatever the thing is. You're trying to play football, right? You're trying to play a soccer game. It doesn't matter. It goes through everything when you're a child, right? You want to get pushed on the swing, right? Other people are getting pushed on the swing. You're hoping that somebody chooses you, right? But that's not on you if they choose you. It's not on you. It's not your responsibility to worry about that. You just have to continue to be the best version of yourself. If they choose you, great. If they don't, it is what it is. Move on. Make another choice. Choose to do something else. That choice is on you, but not the choice of whether they choose you or not. Okay? Now, it's also not your responsibility if others are doing you wrong, right? If other people are doing you wrong, that's not on you. You're not choosing for them to do you wrong, right? Because the only thing you can do is influence what you can. But you can't control what others are doing, right? That's not your responsibility. You can influence your kids, right? You can influence your spouse. You can influence your business partners. You can influence your team, right? You can influence your audience. You can influence your clients. You can influence friends, right? But you can't control them. That's not your responsibility. Don't put that on you, right? You don't need to put the world on your back. You don't. Nope. Strap your own self up in love. Wrap yourself up in love. And you handle what you can handle that deals with you. Okay? Because a lot of people are getting stuck there, right? You can call them people pleasers, right? Where I want to make sure that everybody likes me, right? You have to get to a point that doesn't matter, right? That doesn't mean you do other people wrong, right? That's not what it's about. But whether they like me or not, I cannot control, so why worry about it, right? I can't put that on me. All I can put on me is me showing up as the best version I can based on what I know about me, based on where I know I miss it at, and based on me knowing that I've worked on that and I'm trying to be better. That's how it has to be. right? And y'all know I'm always like, I'm looking at the chat, I'm looking at, my own screen, because okay, remember I said I can't see what's on my face. Well, on when I'm on live I can, obviously, because I got the camera on me and I got a screen that's showing me to me. um so I may be looking, sometimes I look around because I'm looking at myself and I don't want to look at myself, you know what I'm saying? I try to stay here. I try to stay looking at you guys, but sometimes I end up looking at myself, and then I'm like, and then I look over here, and then I look at, things, right? Things are around me. I got screens in front of me, multiple, right? Not just two. I got more than two screens in front of me, and so I'm always looking at stuff. So bear with me. Don't think I'm just around here, looking crazy or looking off. No, I'm looking at other things. I got a lot of stuff going on these screens, okay? So just know that, okay? Just know that. Anyway, so in getting this across, right? Why do people get upset about this, right? Why are they getting this whole thing confused, if you will? I think a lot of people have a need to want to feel in control, right? They want to feel needed, right? I think a lot of people want to feel needed. A lot of people want to feel in control. Um, eh, okay. In actuality, I do too. Shh, don't tell nobody. But I do too. I want to feel in control, right? But what I know is I can't want to feel in control of someone else, right? I have to want to feel in control of me, my environment, right? The things that I can affect change in, then I put my energy into affecting change in those things. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Jackson Raleigh? Dot cool. I like that name. I like that name. Dot cool. That's what's up. Hey, hey, appreciate that. We've met the goal. We met the goal. We finally met the goal of 50 followers. Listen, I'm so excited. We got to celebrate on that. You know what I'm saying? We got to celebrate on that. Shout out to Jackson Raleigh. Dot cool. Don't forget about the dot cool. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for real. But Jackson says, oh, your camera quality is fire. I appreciate that. And yes, it's the truth that humans thrive in community, but capitalism crushes that ideology. Yeah, yeah. I can see why you would say that. I can see why you would say that. I think though, like the angle that I'm approaching this today is more of it, if you are trying to be in control of your own life, right? The things that you're supposed to handle in your own life, you can't handle the things that are in someone else's life, right? Like that's something that you can't control. In our environment, right? Yes, we do want to thrive as a community, right? We humans want to be in community. Capitalism is just a means by which to be where a community is about money, right? It's about getting the most money that you can. However, in my communication about this topic, I'm trying to take money out of the equation because the core human doesn't really, money doesn't affect the core human being a core human. You know what I'm saying? Like at your core, most humans want to be happy, right? At your core, most humans want to have relationships and, like you said, be in community, right? At your core. And so if we can affect your core, then you can show up in every other situation as a better version of yourself, right? Because if you can show up as a better version of yourself, then even in capitalism, right? Even if you show up in capitalism or a capitalistic country or a capitalistic society, you can still be the best version of yourself despite whether money comes into having to use money or not, right? Because what we know is money is a tool. Money isn't the thing. Money should never be the goal. Money is a tool. Capitalism says that money is a goal, right? To have the most money you can get. This, and these are my personal thoughts. I'll be here all week. And so if anybody has anything contrary, I'm more than happy to keep communicating with you, right? I would agree with that. CEO of Costco is an example of that. Which example of which part? That money is a tool, or you got to have the most money possible. Like money is the goal. Because like if money is the goal, see, I think that people put money as the goal because they know they needed to be able to get the thing they really want. Right. And a lot of people who have money as the goal, I think what they're trying to do really is put the goal is power. But power isn't achievable right out. You got to have something to gain power. Power is gained, right? And power is also agreed upon. Because you can feel you're powerful, but if when you talk, nothing moves, nothing operates, then do you have power? You see what I'm saying? But how people get the power to make it look like they're moving out of power is because they amass money, right? The more money you amass, the more I can make shake. I can take this money and I can do this with it, which then makes it look like I'm powerful because I can make things happen at my command, right? That money is a tool and you can still show up as your best. Okay, yes. Now I have not really looked into the CEO of Costco, so I can't really say whether I agree with that, but I can say that if that's what you're saying, then I'm glad, right? That means that I might need to go get me a membership to Costco. You know what I'm saying? Because I definitely want to support things and people who are showing up in ways that are healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like that are healthy. Because when you look at the whole wanting to control others, right? Whether you're using your money to do it, whether you're using blackmail, if you will, right? To hold something over somebody's head to control them. That's the things that because you can't control someone else, you have to put tools and leverage things, right? To try to manipulate the situation to be in control. But why? Right? Why? Because if you think about it, if I can change myself to become the best version of myself, then maybe I can influence others, right? On a positive way. And when people see me or when people want to deal with me, they're like, oh man, the Real Rich Bz is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff he says is really mind blowing. I've never really, thought about it that deep. But when he says it, I'm like, okay, I agree, man. I rock with that. I rock with that, right? So now I'm influencing, right? Without having to control someone. Because all I'm doing is bringing to light things that you may have not thought about, right? And even if you have thought about them, have you fully thought them out? You know what I'm saying? Now, Jackson, that is a lot of text, bro. That's a lot of text, bro. All right, we're gonna start at the top. We gonna read this. We're gonna read this. Let's see where you're going with it. All right. CEO of Costco is awesome. He uses the profits of Costco to increase the lives of his employees and not hoard it for greed. That's good. Let's pause there. That's wonderful. If that's how he operates, that's wonderful. You know what I'm saying? There's also another example of a lady who amassed mass wealth and she took it, bought commercial buildings in a small town that was struggling, offered the spaces for below cost to artists, and now the town is thriving and hosts of the best art events. That too, excellent. That's people who understand that it's not their responsibility to control others, but yet use the money as a tool to be able to influence others in a positive way, right? Not just because they want to get their way. They in that situation with the young lady who amassed the wealth and then took it and bought commercial buildings, right? That's wonderful. Why? Because everybody says it. Everybody knows artists are starving, right? Starving artists. It's hard as an artist, right? And so if you're following creativity and someone pours into you by giving you a space, how much art can you actually make, right? How much change can you put on the walls of the world, right? That's the reason why I'm like, and I said this on my podcast, I mean, not my podcast, but my live the other day when I was doing music, because I do music. If you haven't seen it, make sure that you're following, so that way when I do music again, you'll be able to see it. I'm working on my 5th album, and so we were working on that live. I don't put those live like for playback. If you're on it, you'll see the music getting made, you'll be a part of it. If you're not on it, then you'll never see it. You have to wait till the album comes out. Okay? But art is like paintings and things like that are art for the walls, art for spaces, right? Music is art for the air, right? Because it vibrates the air, and if it's good, it'll feel good to your ears. It'll feel good to the feelings that you get in your body. You'll want to dance. You'll want to, you know what I mean, throw your hands up and party, right? Like music induce feeling, right, on people, right? It influences people. You know what? It even influences animals, right? Because you play some good music and you see your pet start dancing, right? You see them start shaking and stuff like that. Music is something that almost anything on the world can influence, right? Music can influence anything on this planet, or that can feel a vibration. You know what I mean? So, but again, why do people want to feel in control of others, right? Because we talked about it, and if the example of the CEO of Costco is actually doing that, not hoarding the money, but actually giving it back to his employees, then is he doing it because he has a need to feel in control, right? Based on the example, I wouldn't think so, right? I wouldn't think so. But a lot of people do that type of thing because they do want to be in control, right? They're using their money, they're using their influence, they're using, whatever sales skills and manipulations they can, because they want to feel in control of someone else. But why? Could it be from fear? Right? Could it be from fear? Fear that they're going to lose their position, fear that somebody's going to, try to control them, fear that, which is projection, right? Fear that they won't have the type of world that they think should exist around them, right? Or do they want to control other people because of guilt, right? Guilt or shame. Do they want to, control them because they're guilty for what they did to someone else? So I need to make sure that this other person does what I want them to do because the other person couldn't. How about this? Say you have a family. Okay, here's an example. Say you have a family. And you have 2 kids, right? You have a mom and a dad, and you have 2 kids. One of the kids end up, let's say, drowning in a pool, right? And the mom or dad did not stop the kid, did not teach the kid not to go near the pool, did not teach the kid how to swim or whatever, right? Now you have the second kid come along. The second kid that comes along, the parents are, have you noticed, overbearing, right? They are very forceful. They are demanding. They try to control each and everything that second child does, right? Bingo, trauma response. You're exactly right, trauma response. But also, that trauma response is based on what? It's based on the fear and the guilt. Because anytime that something like that happens, you're going to feel like, man, I could have did something different, right? I could have made sure that they didn't do that. I could have made sure that I taught them how to. I could have made sure that I put them in a better position to win. All of that, right? That's fear, that's guilt, right? And shame. All three of those are picking at them internally. And so the only way they can ensure that the other child is successful by being forceful with them, right? Trying to control their every move, their every move. Some parents don't even go through that situation. They just want to make sure that their kid does better than them, so they want to control all of their actions, so to ensure by using their 40, 50, 60-year-old self and trying to put it into this child, so that way the child moves almost puppet-like. You know what I'm saying? Because they missed it. They didn't get to the success because of the choices they made. And so now I'm going to make sure that my child makes better decisions by what? Making the decisions for them. But you can't control them. You can't control that child. You can't control your parents. Your parents can't, control you. It's not. You can't fix life by fixing people. Right? Not the life that you're experiencing. Right? You can only fix yourself. And if you do it well enough and you keep on walking that out consistently, then your environment around you will change. Right? It's there's a word for it. There's a word for it. I can't think of the word for it right now, but it's like when you have two tuning forks, right? You have two tuning forks, and if you hit one of them, put it near the other one will start ringing with it, right? That type of thing is sympathetic, a sympathetic response, I think. I wish I could remember the word right now. But the whole point is that if you keep vibrating on the level that you need to be, if you keep moving in your best self, then when you come around people, even if they're negative, they're going to keep being negative, and that's okay, right? But just keep showing up as your best self. Why? Because those people may have never dealt with someone who was positive. They might have never dealt with someone who's an optimist. They never dealt with someone who understands that I'm not trying to fix anybody. I'm just going to be me, right? And I'm going to do it by standing up, chest out, chin down, head up, shoulders straight. You know what I mean? Like, it's really just presenting yourself. And it's not just about the way you walk or the way you stand, but I'm talking about in all of the way that you operate, right? Because if people don't have examples of it in this world, then how can they even choose to do something different, because they don't know something different exists? All they know is what's in their environment. That's one of the reasons why, and I'm going to take this back a little bit, because I went out of, my parents was in, my dad was in the military. So I have lived in other countries. When I became an adult, I ended up going in the military, but then I got out, right? So now when my kids got old enough, I wanted them to experience what I experienced, which is being able to move in different places and understand more of the world, okay? And so we did, but because we were moving around, and it wasn't based on the military, the whole point was to show them that the environment in which you were born and grew up in is not what the rest of the world is, right? There are people who don't think like the people in the place that you grew up. They don't think like them. They don't have the same attitudes as them. They don't have the same proclivities as them. They don't do the same things. Their whole life and the way they operate is different. And the only way you can experience that is for you to go where they are, because they're not going to come to you. These days, it might be a little bit different because you do have the access of YouTube, right? You do have the access of all these social media platforms. Because you have those platforms, you can dip into somebody's life real quick and then dip right back out. But when you dip into their life, sometimes we feel like, well, that's not true. They're just faking for the camera. Every life is not like that, though, right? And then there are some lives that are like that. So if you look on social media and you see that everybody looks like they got millions of dollars, but in your own environment, you looking around and ain't nobody in in your neighborhood even got $10 extra to spare, that feels like that's fake. Like online, that's not true. That can't be true. It can't be true. Why can't it be true? Because I look around me and ain't nobody got no money. Ain't nobody got even a dime to be able to put towards like some Girl Scout cookies or something. Matter of fact, the Girl Scout troop is still trying to get money, but then they're going to the high, the neighborhoods that at least have a little bit more money than where I live, right? No problem. No problem. No problem. I'm gonna keep rolling through these topics, but I appreciate you listening, man. I appreciate you. Hopefully, these things are things that can even help you to become better. I'm not saying that you're bad now, but you may be able to get little nuggets here and there that you can implement into your life. Hopefully, because even though I'm not just talking to you, like I'm talking to me too, right? Like all of this stuff I'm talking about is things that I need to do better at. You know what I mean? Exactly. Girl Scouts, they are the largest manufacturers of cookies, and they sell a ton of them in a short period of time. The thing is though, when you sell Girl Scout cookies, and I never sold Girl Scout cookies, but I just look at everything, right? Like I pay attention to a lot of things. When you look at the girls who are selling Girl Scout cookies, a lot of times back in the day, you used to go door to door, right? They used to go door to door in the neighborhoods, knock on the door, and sell Girl Scout cookies. These days, they've changed their approach. Do they still do some door knocking? Maybe in certain types of neighborhoods, but do they do it like they used to? No. Most of the time now, they'll get them a table and they'll go sit outside some business, right? Some business that already has a lot of foot traffic. They'll sit outside there because people are already coming to the store to spend money. So why not try to get them while they got money to spend, right? Versus going to their house and knocking on the door. So that's a change of strategy, right? This is kind of what I'm saying even in this, right? In making sure that you handle your part and show up as the best version of yourself. It wasn't on the people to change something they were already doing. It was on the Girl Scouts as an organization to figure out how can we sell these cookies, right? How can we bring in revenue, right? They brought in revenue by changing their location of where they marketed themselves. Instead of going to everybody's door, because you're going to knock on a ton of doors of people who don't have extra money, go to the place that people are coming to spend money. Boom, right? No brainer. Why not? And so they probably sell even more now than they did when they were going door to door. Right? But it was on the Girl Scouts to change so they can get a different experience, so they can get a different end goal. Businesses do this all the time. Right? That's why when you go to a business and let's say you're in one of the grocery stores, okay? I'm not going to name anyone in particular, but say you're in a grocery store and you've been going to that grocery store. Let's say you moved there and now it's been 5 years later. You've been going to the same grocery store for 5 years. Well, in year 5, toward the beginning, you go to that same grocery store and when you walk in, nothing is in the same place as it was, right? You walk into the grocery store, nothing's in the same place. But why? You ever thought about that? Because they're trying to market to you something that you probably have never seen. Because what they know is that you start to have patterns. Once I go into the store the first time, I figure out where everything is, right? Once I figure out where everything is, now I can just walk into that store, go straight to what I want, go to the register, and walk straight out. I'm not going to see anything else, right? Because I know exactly what I want today when I go in, and I'm going to go right there, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to leave. If they change the floor plan, right? If they move this, the planogram is what they call it. But if you change the planogram, meaning take this stuff that used to be on the top shelf, put it over here on the mid shelf, right? What's going on? Kwashi, what's happening? If I move this stuff from the mid shelf over here to by the registers, if I, shuffle the bread from this side of the store to the other side of the store, right? Take the major items, right? Bread, milk, eggs, meat, you know what I'm saying? Like produce. If I move them around, what happens then? What happens is now people are walking around the store confused. They don't know where things are. Now they got to ask people. Then they say, oh, it's on the other side. Now you've walked past a bunch of stuff that you never usually would see, right? You never see it. Now you're seeing it today. And now you're like, I didn't even realize they had that in here. Let me go ahead and get that, right? It ups their sales. Why? Because they changed something. They didn't ask you to change. They changed something, and now you have to adapt to that change. That's what I'm saying with all that I'm talking about, right? Sidebar. Girl Scouts had to ban selling in front of dispensaries because a couple girls were dominating the area by in front of dispensaries. You daggone Skippy. Listen, cheat code. Here's a cheat code. This is something that my son did. My son owns a vending machine company, right? He took a vending machine and put it in a dispensary. Chick-ching. I wish I had the sound effect for chick-ching. If somebody got that sound effect, send me the link. but he literally cashed out with that vending machine, right? Because he put it in a dispensary. And nobody else had a vending machine in a dispensary. Wild work. Wild work. And I don't know what made him think of it, but he was like, yo, this was my idea. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I can get it. But if they got banned, I didn't know the Girl Scouts got banned for it. But that's wild. And they probably was wearing out the competition. No other Girl Scouts was getting any business. They probably got business still, but just not to the tune of what you were getting outside of a dispensary. Them people at dispensary, they gonna spend some bread, especially on some snacks, Girl Scout cookies, some tagalongs. Tagalongs my joint though. But anyway, all right. y'all got me sidetracked thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so again, it's not only the Girl Scouts, not only the stores, like most businesses will do that. Most businesses will change, right? They'll change where they are, how they do business. Because they looked at how it was working before, what the money was looking like, what the flow of traffic was and all of that, and then change. Why can't we put that same thing into place for our own selves, right? If I'm not getting the type of results I want in my life, then that means I need to change something, right? I got to change something. What? And that's the thing I think a lot of people have a problem with. They don't know what to change, right? Because if I, okay, let me think about that. If I continue to live life the way I have been living it, then the fact says that I'm going to keep getting the same thing that I got before, right? It's just a fact. If I continue on this path, this is the same thing I'm going to keep experiencing. If I change something, then I'm going to experience something different. However, what do I need to change to experience what I want? And I think a lot of people don't have an answer to that. Why? Because they haven't looked inside, right? They haven't actually sat down and said, or took inventory of their life, right? Now, when I say take inventory of your life, that means look at how you're operating, what responses you get when you communicate with people, right? How do I walk into a place? What are people saying when I get there, right? If I meet a new person and they're talking to me, how are they responding to how I'm delivering what I'm saying, right? Like, who are my friends, right? What type of life do they have, right? All this is taking inventory of your life. Look at my kids. How are they acting? If I don't have any kids, let me look at my girlfriend. What type of person is she? Right? Like, because you need to take inventory around. Look at what you have. What have you been able to acquire over this part of your life? Do you like what you have? Right? Because if you look at all this stuff and you like, I kind of like where I'm at. You can end up getting complacent. You could. You still need to be thankful for where you have achieved. But if you want more, and I'm not saying more just for the sake of more, but I'm talking about more in the sense of I want to feel more happy, right? Inside. I want to feel more fulfilled inside, right? Like all of these things are inside things, not external. The external is only a representation of how you feel inside, right? So if all of your environment, right, and y'all can see part of my environment, right? In my studio room, this is what's in here. I do have another table over here, right? I have a chair over here. I have another stand back here where my microphone and stuff is when I'm doing my music, right? I do have some other, stuff over there, but it's not like, it's literally, you see it on my side shot. It's a freaking closet, right? Now, here's the thing. If your environment that you live in day to day is trashed, meaning I got stuff all on the floor, I ain't vacuumed the carpet in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. Like, if that's your environment, right? Walls got spiderweb, cobwebs up in the corner, like all of that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about you in the sense of, oh, no, bad person. No, but it represents what is going on inside you, right? You might be feeling overwhelmed. You might be feeling like, what do you call it? Confusion, or you have a lot of things just going on in your head because the clutter on the outside is a representation of the clutter that's going on in the inside. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we really look at it like that, right? Starts looking around space. I got a lot of clutter, but it's all my books and toys from collecting. They are inspiration. Okay, now that might be different, right? Because if you're collecting things and clutter is two different things, right? Most of the time when people collect things, they have them up on shelves. They have it propped up. You know what I'm saying? They have it set up so people can come in and be like, oh man, look at all your whatever collection. You know what I'm saying? Or stuff like that. If you're collecting things most of the time, you're not just gonna have them just sprawled around the floor, right? You're not gonna walk in and be kicking over your high end X-Man doll or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're collecting things, you're gonna prop it up. Like right over here. Look over here on my shelf, right? If you look on my shelf right there, I have this is a Iron Man Lego head, right? I built this Iron Man Lego head, and this is Optimus Prime, right? Well, actually that's Soundwave, right? That's Soundwave. I got hats over here, right? They're not just sprawled anywhere. They're set up on I'm missing one that normally sits right here. But that hat that sits right there, I just wore it and it's in my bedroom, right? So, and books, right? Books on my shelf, right? I got books right here on my shelf. Again, that collecting is not clutter, right? Clutter is when you have dirty tissues on the floor. You have towels and your bed's not made and your sweatpants is laying over there on the floor and you got stuff hanging off the lampshade. That's clutter, right? You feel overwhelmed. You don't feel like you have time, right? Because if you felt like you had time, then you would fold the stuff up. You put it away. You make sure it was washed, like all this kind of stuff, because that is showing up as your best version, right? Keeping a clean environment. But it doesn't start with the environment. You can start with your environment, but a lot of times it's starting from the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's starting from the inside. Because you have to change the way that you're making decisions in your head. That's the reason why when I started off this whole talk, it didn't start on handle your part. It started on that's not your problem. Talking about things outside of you. Those things aren't your problem, right? Resentment that somebody else is carrying is not your problem, right? Other distractions outside, that's not your problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I continue to carry the things that are not my problem, then I can end up having resentment myself, not somebody else's resentment. I can have resentment, right? Because I'm holding something that's not mine, right? I feel shame for something, or guilt for something, or mad at somebody else, or feeling like they're not picking me or choosing me. So now I'm starting to feel resented, or I feel like somebody else did something to me, right? And so because I'm carrying it and I didn't address it with that person, then now I'm feeling away, right? I'm going to end up making bad decisions because of it. Or if I continue to make bad decisions, like I'm making bad decisions because I'm carrying something, or I'm probably dealing with something that's not really mine to carry or do or deal with, right? I may end up making bad decisions and stuff because I have weak boundaries, right? These are things that I can affect. I can affect whether I'm distracted. I can affect whether I'm making bad decisions, right? I can affect whether I'm at burnout, right? I can affect those things because I have a choice. I have a decision to make. I have options. I can't put that on anybody else, right? These are things that I can end up feeling because I'm carrying things that aren't mine. But there's the choice. The choice is to not carry those other things and deal with the things that you need to deal with, the things that you can affect change in, right? Because, okay, in relationships, right? What does that look like? What does that look like in relationships? If you're carrying something that's not really yours and you're trying to control it or whatever, you can be trying to force somebody to communicate with you, right? You can try to make somebody love you, right? These are all external things that you can't make somebody else do, right? You can't make somebody else grow up. All you can do is treat them as if they're grown up, right? I can treat somebody like I love them, and then if they feel loved, then maybe they in turn will love me back. Maybe, but if they don't, no harm, no foul, because I'm not gonna love somebody just to get love. You know what I'm saying? That's not what it's about. You love somebody because you love them. It doesn't matter whether they do it in return. Wow. Okay. Okay. That mind blown. I'm mind blown at what I just said. I'm mind blown at what I just said. I don't even know if I could say that again. If I could, somebody need to clip that. Listen. How did I just say that? I can't force somebody to love me. All I can do is love them without worrying about whether they love me back. That didn't hit the same. That didn't hit the same. My God, today, what did I say? I don't know, but that was monumental. Go back. I'm going to try. I'm tell you right now, I'm going to try to go ahead and clip that. I got to get that one. Anyway, let me say this because that statement, oh boy, it just made me think of a whole new understanding. Okay, I'm going to say this because I don't know whether you guys like believe in the Bible, right? Like, I don't know whether you believe in the Bible, whether you have some sort of religion or whatever. Whatever that, you know, if you do, great. If you don't, hey, listen, this principle still means something. So just take it as a principle. But in what I just said, it made me think of the Bible verse that says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall trust him will not lose their life but have everlasting life." Right? Okay. My brain is going ham right now because of this. Here's the thought process. You're supposed to love people, right? It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't even matter who they are. Loving someone is a decision. It's a choice, right? So if you choose to love someone, it doesn't matter what they do in return. It doesn't matter. Because you made a choice to love them. When people get married, they say that same thing, right? They say, I promise to love you through richer or poorer, sickness and in health, right? Because once you love someone, you're choosing to do that. That's why they say love is not a feeling, love is a choice. Love is a decision. I'm choosing each day to love my spouse. I'm choosing each day to love my kids, right? I'm choosing each day to love what I do. Right? I'm choosing this. So my business might never love me back. Right? My kids might not never love me back. One of the hardest things to even get to wrap your mind around is your spouse may not never love you back. At least not in the way that you think you should be being loved. Wow. But you know what? That's okay. Right? That's okay. Why is it okay? It's okay because I'm choosing to love you despite your faults, despite the things that you do, despite the things that you say, because I know I love you. And that should be without, what is it called? What do you call it when you conditions, right? I'm choosing to love you without conditions, right? If now there are conditions on whether I stay with you, right? There are conditions on whether, in the sake of my kids, whether we continue to stay in the same place, right? There are conditions with my business on whether I continue to run that business. That doesn't mean I don't love it. That just means I can't live with it, right? And that may be for my own mental health. That may be for my own sanity, right? So what does that look like in the business world if someone is trying to force or control a situation? In the business world, if you're trying to force it, then you may end up saving clients that you should not save, right? Because you're trying to control the situation. I cannot lose them, right? You might be trying to force yourself into a market, right? I've gotten back on the topic. Just so y'all know, I went back to the topic of if I'm owning or carrying something that I shouldn't be carrying, meaning I'm thinking that what they're doing, I need to change, right? I need to handle, I need to control. So if I'm trying to control whether somebody, a client, is going to leave my business, or I'm trying to force myself into a certain market that's not built for what I'm trying to do, but I'm trying to shoehorn myself in, if you will, right? Or I'm trying to include lazy people in what I'm doing, then I need to shift my own perception of what's happening. Right? Same thing we were talking about the Girl Scouts. Same thing we were talking about with Costco. Same thing we're talking about most grocery stores. Right? They're shifting their planogram because they need more sales. They want to get a different result out of their same footprint. Right? So me, I want to get a different result out of my same body, out of my same situation. I need to change some things. That's why I'm saying that if I can make sure that I am not carrying things that don't belong to me, meaning I don't need to handle things that aren't mine to handle, right? I need to handle the things that are mine to handle, right? I need to continue to love people and love the things that I'm doing without trying to control it, right? I need to lead, right, without being overbearing, and without also owning the things that I've delegated, right? Because if I delegate something, yes, I'm still over it, but that doesn't mean I need to micromanage it. I delegated it, and I should trust who I delegated it to, right? I'm going to handle my part. My part is the delegation and to make sure that I follow up to see if it's completed based on setting the timelines that I expect them to be done in, right? Let's filter this, right? I think that in any situation that you come into, we need to figure out, well, is this mine to handle, right? Is this mine to fix? Is this mine to respond to, right? Am I supposed to lead this charge, right? And if I realize that it's not mine, then I need to release it, right? I need to take it out of my brain and let somebody else deal with that, right? There may be, and in a lot of these situations, I don't even think it's on me to even let the other person know that that thing needs to be taken care of, or that their attitude is bad, or that they, are not holding up to the standard. A lot of times it's not on you to tell them, especially up front, right? Because some people may get off a little bit and they just need time to get back, right? You may say, hey, is everything okay? Check in with them, right? Hey, are we still going to have this at the right time? Right? Hey, have you ran into any obstacles? Right? You're not trying to control it. You're just asking because you're concerned, right? You want to make sure the deadline is met. And the thing is, it's not to force a situation. It's just to ask the question, right? Because you want to handle your part. Because say, business example, if you delegate something to someone and it's getting close to the deadline and they can't necessarily reach it, or they're saying, oh, everything's good, I'm still working on it, blah blah blah, and then you follow with another question and you say, hey, have you seen any roadblocks? Is there anything that you're currently dealing with, that's kind of giving you pause? Some people may say, oh, well, you know what, I've been trying to reach this whatever person, and for some reason I can't get them on the line, right? And if you say you can't get them on the line, then that person who delegated might be like, oh, okay, give me a second. I have them give you a call. I'll just jump on the phone, and then boom, they answer for me. Why are they gonna answer for me? Because I'm the person in charge, right? That's why they're getting on the phone. And then I'm gonna Point them in your direction, because it's not on mine to fix it, but it was on me because I was the owner and I delegated it to make sure that that person has a clear path to success, to finish the task that I gave them, right? Francesco has entered the building. Everybody. Francesco is now in the building. What's going on, bro? I see you back. So and lately, bro, you've been jumping in right at the end of these lives. Now you also with the intro. Hey, bro. Shout out to you for real, for coming back in. Yeah, every time you come in, bro, I get hyped, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you. What I've been trying to say in this live is that you need to handle your part, right? You remember we was in the last live, because I know Francesco, I think you were there that last live, when we were just saying, bro, that some of those things aren't yours to handle, right? It's not on you to deal with. It's not your problem. The things in this one, this is the things we are supposed to handle. And so what I know is you can end up getting peace when you are able to handle your part and stop trying to be the God in everybody else's life. Stop trying to control everybody else's life, right? I think that it's on you to love your neighbor. It's on you to make sure that you're showing up as the best version of yourself. It's on you to not take on things that aren't in your control, right? That are not your responsibility. Because the whole thing with this whole topic right here is about responsibility. So when we define responsibility, right, and we said that responsibility is answerable, accountable for something within one's own power, control, or management, right? And I'll put it on the screen again so y'all see, just so you know that I ain't playing. That's what the definitions are, right? Right? The state or fact of being responsible, answerable, accountable, right, for something within one's power, right? One's power, not somebody else's power, and yours, your own power. That's what you have to be. That's the only thing that you can control. That's the only thing that you can change. That's the only thing that you can fix, right? That's the only thing you can manage. You can manage your own emotions. You know what I'm saying? But you can't manage somebody else's. Not outsourcing responsibilities, looking for ghosts of excuse. Well, no, you can delegate certain responsibilities, right? Because I used the example earlier in this stream talking about taxes, right? As the business owner, it's your job to handle taxes, right? But the you can have a tax person, a tax preparer, or a CPA or something do your taxes and file your taxes for you, right? But as the business owner, it's still on you to make sure that they know when it's time to file taxes that they have a deadline. You know what I'm saying? That it's coming up, right? Pull into a meeting, but I'm pretty sure I clipped that section about love. Hey, man, I hope you did. I'm going to check, because that one line, I only want that one line, bro. I'm about to post it on YouTube. Yeah, that one line, bro. It sounds phenomenal when I play it back. If it's not, okay, I must have missed it, but it might have sounded better in my head than it was, in the public. I hope y'all got it, because that line right there, boy, that was one of those moments. You know what I mean? Those moments you can't necessarily get back. Francesco missed that moment. You know what I'm saying? But me and Jackson was in here doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? The clip got moderated. It should still be in there, right? Let me see. Let me check before I stop this. Hold on. Let me see. Can I pull it up? I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Create a dashboard. Let me see if I can find it. If you clipped it, it should still be in mine, right? I think so. Clips. Bingo. I got it. Yep. Hold on. I'll put it on screen. Hold on. I'm putting it on the desktop. Oh shoot. What just happened to it? There we go. Oh, you know what? It might not show, because I think my OBS doesn't show when I share the screen. I'll try it. Let's see. Oh, y'all can see that? Yeah. Here it is. Boom. Boom. Let me see. Let me see if we, will it play? How can I play it? Can I play it? Let's see what you clip. Hopefully you got the good part. Hopefully you got the good part. But if they don't, no harm, no foul, because it's not, I'm not going to love somebody just to get love. You know what I'm saying? That's not what it's about. You love somebody because you love them. It doesn't matter whether they do it in return. Wow. Okay. You got the right one, Jackson. You got the right one, bro. Hold on. Let me play that again. Hold on, let me play that again because I think I'm. Let me see. All right, because I couldn't really hear the beginning. I'm gonna see. That's about manipulation. Yeah. Let me. I'm gonna do it again. But if they don't, no harm, no foul, because it's not. I'm not gonna love somebody just to get love. Facts. You know what I'm saying? That's not what it's about. You love somebody because you love them. It doesn't matter whether they do it in return. Wow. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. That mind blown. I'm mind blown at what I just said. Hey, that was perfect. That's the perfect clip. Go ahead, Jackson. Yeah, Jack nailed it. Shout out to him. He gets all the claps. He gets all the shots. Hey, anytime y'all make dope clips, y'all gonna get all the claps, all the excitement. You know what I'm saying? We gonna load up the rifle and we gonna bust some more. Hey, I'm so excited for that one. You nailed that one. That's a perfect clip. And yes, it's gonna get posted. So know that it will get posted. I love that clip. I love that. It's gotta go. That one gotta fly. That one's out of here. So yeah, but because that whole part right there made me immediately think of, like I said, when I said it, I don't know how I got taken there, but I got taken to like the Bible, right? Not because I'm trying to be over religious about this topic. It was just that understanding made me say, well, if God says the same thing, then ain't that the same thing? Right? You don't have to love back for him to love. We don't have to love another. Just because I love someone doesn't mean that they have to love me back. I can't force them to love me. I can only love, right? I need to be loved. Love should come in return. Yeah, eureka moment. Exactly. Eureka moment. It was like an epiphany. And I said it so smoothly. Like I wasn't trying to go there. That was based on what Jackson was talking about. Jackson said something and then we ended up there. And so, yeah, man, that was one of those moments. You know what I'm saying? Can't put those in replay. It just is what it is. So I appreciate that one, Jackson. Thank you for catching that one. Because I would have had to look for it later. You know what I'm saying? And Jack was here to clip. Yeah, exactly. And he was here to clip it. That's what was on. You know what I'm saying? So, bingo, Francesco. So listen, here's what I'm going to say. For y'all who are on live right now, stay on here, okay? Stay here for 1 second because I'm going to end the YouTube, okay? So for everybody on YouTube, I appreciate y'all for joining. I appreciate y'all for coming. Hey, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Make sure you tell a friend, follow your man's Rich Bz, the real Rich Bz on all of these. Also, we just hit the 50 based on Jackson. Appreciate you, Jackson. We appreciate it. You got us up to the 50 that we've been shooting for. We got there. You know what I'm saying? We got there. You did it. We did it. We did it together. Thank y'all. See you next time. Rich Bz.